Hello class 9th. A very good morning to all of you. So class 9th, as you all know that we are doing the third chapter of political science, which is electoral politics, and in our yesterday's session we have discussed about the needs of having a political election and about the demerits of it. Now moving on for today's session, today we will be discussing about what is our system of election, how the elections in our country is conducted. We will be discussing this in our today's session. So now let's start with the session. Can we say that Indian elections are democratic? Now class, a question comes that can we say that the elections that are taking place in India are democratic or not? So to answer this question, let us take a look at how elections are held in India. So now giving this answer, we are going to see the procedure that how does the elections take place in India, and then we will decide whether the elections in India are democratic or not. So class, in India, elections are held regularly on an equal interval of time, that is 5 years. Whether it's of Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha, they are held regularly. After every 5 years, we can see elections in our country, and the aim of elections is to choose the representatives so that he or she can make policies for the welfareness of the country. Now class, the Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha stands dissolved. So when the election is going or when their term is over, they are dissolved, means they are not the members, there is no government working during that time. Elections are held in all constituencies at the same time, either on the same day or within a few days. So class, in India, the elections are held throughout the countries, throughout the states as well as the districts and the constituencies. The days may be the same, the days may be the different, so they held throughout the country. And this is called a zonal election, and this is called a zonal election because the elections are taking place throughout the country, in every state as well as every district and in every constituencies of the country. Now sometimes elections is held only for one constituency to fill the vacancy caused by the death or resignation of a member. So class, sometimes what happened when the government or you can say the leader dies, so there is a re-election. Re-elections are being held to appoint the representative so that the proper functioning of the government can take place, and this won't hamper the growth of the development of the country as well as the people. So there is the reason for reconducting the elections is either the death or the resignation of any member because of which the government has fallen. Now this is called a by-election. In this chapter we will focus on zonal election. So now this thing was called the reconduction of elections is called by-election, but we are going to focus more on the zonal elections. That means we are going to focus how the elections will be conducted or are conducted in the entire country of our India. Now first thing we will be discussing is electoral constituencies. What are the electoral constituencies? So class, we have read about the people of Haryana electing 90 MLAs. So class, in the starting of the chapter we have read about the story of Haryana, about a case study that how the people of Haryana choose their representatives and how they overthrown the Congress government. Furthermore, class, we have wondered how did that happen. So you might have been thinking, oh God, how that happened, what was the reason? So the answer is that did every person in Haryana vote for all the 90s MLA? Now the next question comes, does all the people who are living in Haryana have voted for that 90s MLAs? You perhaps know that this is not the case. So we might know that maybe majority have voted, maybe minority have voted. Now, this is not the case in a system of representatives. This is not there in a system of representatives. The country is divided into different areas for purposes of elections, and these areas are called electoral constituencies. So class, our country has been divided into different areas. We know that we are all living in our different areas. Some of you live in the north side, some of you lives in the west side, some of you lives in the south side. So you all are living in a different area, and the purpose for the division is elections. So we have been divided because to choose our representatives for the purpose of elections, and this is called as electoral constituencies. So this division, keeping in mind for the elections purpose, division is called as electoral constituencies. The voters who live in an area elect one representatives. Now class, the voters who are residing in the north zone will choose one representatives from the north zone. Similarly, the voters who is living in the south zone will choose one representatives from the south zone. So the people, or you can say the voters who are living in the different areas will choose their one representatives who will take care for the betterment and wellness of their area. Now, for example, for Lok Sabha elections, the country is divided into 543 constituencies. Now class, the Lok Sabha elections are there, and for that the country has been divided into 543 constituencies. So we have 543 constituencies if we talk in the Lok Sabha elections, and the representatives elected from constituencies is called a member of parliament. So class, the representatives or who won the maximum votes become the member of the parliament, or you can call as simply MP, because he has won the majority of the seats and he is being elected by the people, and thus we call them as member of parliament. So one of the feature of a democracy election is that every vote should have equal value. We have learned that class that one of the most important feature of democracy is that every vote, irrespective of their caste, color, creed, gender, have one value. No values being different, all the people residing in our country and who is eligible of giving votes have the same value. One person, one vote and one value. So this is one of the key feature of democracy, that everybody is having the same value of vote in the population that is living in our country. So similarly, each state is divided into specific number of assembly constituencies. So talking about the states, so similarly how the way the country is divided, so every state is divided into each constituents assemblies, and when the elections are take place, so the area that the people choose their representatives is called the member of legislative assembly or MLA. So class, when the elections of Lok Sabha take place, when the elections of Vidhan Sabha take place, so you can say that the people choose their representatives, and these representatives, when the elections are in the states itself, so when the elections are there in the states, people select their representatives and they are called MLA, means the members of legislative assembly, and each parliamentary constituency have within its several assembly constituencies. So now talking about the parliament, so every parliament constituencies have several assembly constituencies. So there are several assemblies constituencies in the parliament. The same principles applies for panchayat and municipal elections also. So if we talk about the panchayati raj also class, the same principles, same votes, one person vote, one vote, no discrimination, and for the municipal elections also you can see that we in India, taking elections, conducting elections at every part, at every tier of the government, whether it's for the panchayati raj system, whether on the village, state, and for the entire country. So you can see that we are way democratic, because it is the people who are choosing the representatives. Now class, each village or town is divided into several wards that are like constituencies. So if we talk about the village class, so you can say that in village also area has been divided into smaller areas, and these are called your wards. And now each ward select one member of the village or the urban local body. So now since we got to know that village is divided into smaller area which we call as wards, and the wards elect their one representatives, which is known as panch, or you can call as the urban local body. Sometimes these constituencies are counted as seats, for each constituency represents one seat in the assembly. So what happened, sometimes this constituency, the place where the elections are taken place, are counted as one seat. Okay, and furthermore class, for each constituencies represent one seat in the assembly. So if elections are taking place in the one state, it will be counted one constituency. So you can say that it is also divided through the area also. So each constituency is sometimes called as one seat. Okay, when you say that Lok Dal 160 seats in Haryana, it means that candidates of Lok Dal 160 in assembly constituencies. So when we read that it was the Lok Dal who won with the majority, that was 60 seats in the Haryana assembly, that means they have won the 60 assembly constituencies. They have won the 60 assembly constituencies, means they have won the 60 smaller areas in the assembly constituency. And thus class, we can say that there were 60 MLAs in the state assembly. So since they have won 60 assembly constituencies, thus those people who won those constituent assemblies are called MLA, which means member of legislative assemblies. Okay, so class, please make sure to read till page number 39 of your chapter number 3 of political science, submit the work on time, and watch the video. Thank you.